We're getting some breaking news. A long-awaited transatlantic trade deal between the European Union and the United States has been put on hold after US President Donald Trump imposed fresh tariffs on European countries as part of his push to secure control over Greenland. Remember, Donald Trump has now imposed 10% tariff on the European Union nations over a deal for acquiring Greenland, and he has said that this tariff is only applicable till June, and if there's no green signal to the deal over Greenland till June, then from June 1st the tariffs will increase to 25% from 10%. Meanwhile, what we're learning is that the transatlantic trade deal between the United States and the European Union has meanwhile put on hold in response to the tariff threat by Donald Trump, the 10% tariff threat that he will be imposing 10% tariffs on the European Union starting February 1st if there's no nod to US taking over Greenland. And my colleague Karishma is now joining us with more details on this. Karishma, what does this move by the European Union signify? Is this a temporary move by the European Union by stalling the transatlantic deal, or does this also show the erosion of trust between the European Union and US as trade partners?
It's a simple case of tit-for-tat that the EU has attempted. If we remember, it was in last July that EU had signed a trade deal with the US, the ratification pending, which said that all US exports, which is imports into the EU, will be at 0%, while all EU imports into the US will be at 15%. Now, that deal stands under a big air of question because of the 10% additional tariff that US has imposed on the EU for their hindrance and for their questions being raised on the Greenland takeover. Now, a clear case of tit-for-tat that the EU has in fact said, a member of the European Parliament has put on Twitter saying that they were supposed to ratify the original trade deal, the 15% trade deal, but the ratification will now have to wait longer because of this additional tariffs coming, and this is a case of non-cooperation. And I think the countries and the union, which is a union of 29 countries, is now understanding that the US is, of course, trying to put tariffs on anything that it seems deemable without, of course, questioning the legality of it.
Help us understand, how do these developments over Greenland and this fresh tariff threat by Donald Trump to the European Union nations, how is this going to have an impact on the international markets?
Well, the markets, if we talk about the financial markets across, we have seen a major slump happening across the US markets itself, especially when the tariff news is out. The Indian markets, also the Asia-Pacific markets, did not react well. But from a geopolitical concern, we need to understand that markets have had the appetite to accept the vulnerabilities of the United States of America announcing tariffs as and when that it seems deemable. In fact, if we realize we are coming to an 1 year anniversary of the whole tariff fiasco that actually started in April last year. What is going to really impact is the global supply chain, Anjali, and this is where I think there is a ardent need and intervention of World Trade Organization to come in, because once the global supply chains are impacted, and the EU has also taken the step of not going ahead with the trade deal or not ratifying it timely, then we will see a lot of movement being obstructed, not just into the US but also in Asia Pacific.
All right, Karishma, do stay with us. We're getting some more inputs on this story, on the controversy and the face-off between the European Union and the United States over Greenland.